for me to be an inspiration for my father, bruh, anybody else can say whatever they want. You don't actually know me. My father watched me and he saw all the ups and downs, the rights and wrongs, and there is no compliment higher than that for me.
Brad is a Jersey City native, motivational speaker. Brad is also an author of a great book about his story and his life and how he turned his pain into purpose and passion. So this was essentially started out as a side hustle.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I went full-time during COVID. Gotten to the point where I was making money as a speaker, but I wasn't ready to let go of the job. That is the safety net. I always knew I had the ability, to do the work. Being unsure, that's what threw me off. I was like, okay, God, like, what you want me to do? What ended up happening was crazy. All 4 of the clients in the house got COVID. And they was like, no, you still got to come in and work. I was like, how am I supposed to work and be hands-on? I called my wife, told her what was up. She's not a supporter of me quitting jobs. I quit the job, and then I told my wife, I was like, all right, just give me some time. Give me a couple months to try this. And if it doesn't work out, I'll go get another job. And she's like,
Welcome to the Real Mentors podcast. Real standing for real life examples altering lives. And today in the studio, I'm blessed, honored, and privileged to have the one and only Brad Butler, New Jersey's own, with us today. Brad is a Jersey City native and motivational speaker. Brad is also an author of a great book about his story and his life and how he turned his pain into purpose and passion. Brad, welcome to the show. How are you, brother?
I'm good, man. Listen, it's been a long time coming.
Yes, it has. Brad and I have known each other for a little over a year, but we've never met in person until today. A couple of times we scheduled and things didn't work out, but as the universe always does, it conspires to work in our favor. So here we are today. Tell our listeners a little bit about you, where you're from, and how you found motivational speaking.
Okay. And I get that question a lot, but and people think that I'm gonna give them like some Disney story, but that's just not the world that we live in. Like, that's just not life. That's not realistic. It's really simple. I'm just a guy who found his purpose and dedicated my life to it, right? And as far as how I got started in the industry, I was working listen, I don't knock nobody who works a 9-to-5, right? Because I no longer work a 9-to-5, but I don't knock anybody who works a 9-to-5, right? If you out there moving in purpose, you doing your thing, and like you making an honest wage for yourself, do your thing, and don't let nobody, like, don't let Instagram and all the stuff like knock you off your path. Stay on, like, do your thing, right? Use your gift in whatever way it comes up for you. For me, I was working at Verizon. And I was perfectly happy with the job that I had working in corporate at Verizon. So shout out to Verizon, pay some bills for me. Thank you. Appreciate you. Right. I was working there doing my thing. And then one of my teachers reached out to me on Facebook. She sent me a message like, hey, Brad, like, how you doing? What you been up to? And I was like, I'm chilling. I work for Verizon now. I got a good job. And I went to school. I got my bachelor's degree. After that, she lost her mind. You did what? I was like, went to school and got my bachelor's degree. The reason why she tripped the way she did was because I spent 10 years in special ed classes. She was one of my teachers. So she saw me struggling with reading, writing, basic mathematics. I was always that kid who had to miraculously have to go to the bathroom when it was time for me to stand up and speak and read out loud. So she was like, you got your bachelor's degree? You work for Verizon at the corporate center? Like, I was like, yeah. She was like, oh my goodness, Brad, you have got to come to the school and talk to these kids. And I was like, no, yeah, I'm not doing that. And she was like, what do you mean no? I was like, my thing was, it would be the first time that I said out loud, like in public to people, that I was in special ed classes. I hid it. Right. I hid it from people. I was ashamed. Like, I thought I brought shame to my family. I thought I was stupid. I thought something was wrong with me. And, when the opportunity came, I was like, she asked me like 3 or 4 times, and I finally was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. I'll give it a try. And then when I was preparing to try this out and to do it, I couldn't get away from Eric Thomas's videos. I couldn't get away from Jeremy Anderson's videos and Inky Johnson and stuff like that. It's just like, wow, this stuff keeps popping up. Like, maybe this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I said, let me take this thing seriously. My girlfriend at the time, which is now my wife, she was like, well, I think you're gonna do great. I was like, oh, really? She was like, yeah. She was like, because, you're taking off from work, so, you're not making any money. And then I'm taking off from work, and I'm coming with you, and I'm not making any money. So, yeah, you're going to do good. I was like, oh,
Trial
okay,
by
yeah.
fire.
Yeah, right, trial by fire. She was like, well, we're going to find out if this is what you're supposed to be doing or not, because yeah, I'm bringing the camera, I'm recording it, I'm making sure that we get this right. We taking pictures and all that. I'm like, okay. And sure enough, I went in, I just spoke from the heart. And by the time I was done, man, it wasn't a dry in the room. And I tell everybody, it was a special ed class. So it wasn't but like 8 of us in there. So it was like, whoa, okay. But the teacher was like, you got something, Brad. Like, to be able to hold their attention for 60 minutes, like, that's not normal. Like, this might be something that you really need to look into. She's like, you need to go get a mentor, like a coach, somebody to just guide you. I was like, okay. And from that day, I said, okay, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna figure this thing out. So the first teachers to give me an opportunity were teachers who actually taught me.
Wow.
Lauren Gleesa, Felicia Alexander. Like, I will never forget them, because not only were they an impact on my life as a student when I was struggling in school, they were the first ones to give me an opportunity to then speak professionally.
Right.
So that's it. From there, I just went on a path to getting with my mentors. My first, Kendall Ficklin, then Eric Thomas, Jeremy Anderson, to help me get to where I'm currently at now.
Wow, that's an awesome story. We always say there's no such thing as coincidences. Right. And you mentioned something immense, which was pain into purpose. And where we met is through a professional speakers group, a group that teaches you and encourages you to speak by identifying your pain, using the lessons that you've learned and your life, essentially, as the story to tell of how you overcame this. So we met through these rooms, both in an effort to, enhance my abilities as a professional speaker, because much like you, it was that spark. Someone invited me to speak, and I was like, oh, I'm really good at this. And, some of the best feedback came at the end of the year, and the guy who stood out was me, the guy they just randomly invited to come speak to the kids. And it was poignant because that let me know what I kind of already knew, which was that I had the power to impact others through my words. So you're an orator. You're great with words. I've been blown away by some of the ways that you train and the consistency that you've shown. So you talk about your first break, and you mentioned E.T., Eric Thomas, the hip-hop preacher, who, in many's opinion, including mine, is one of the GOATs in this industry. In particular, for people of color, we've got Les Browns of the world, we've got T.D. Jakes, and a lot of people that are coming out of the religious or the Christianity space. Mm-hmm. But E.T. is just, the energy's unmatched, the storytelling's unmatched, and you had the privilege of having him as one of your early mentors. How did you two cross paths?
Well, the crazy thing about it is, man, I wish people understood that I haven't always been where I'm currently at. I wish they could see the version of me from the very beginning. It's not even so much like I wish you could. I haven't taken out any of my old videos. So you can go back and watch my videos from the very beginning. Like the very first video I did, I was in a bathroom and the shower curtain was open and my wife yelled at me. She was like, why is that shower curtain open? Close that shower curtain. You guys looking crazy. I was like, are you serious? But I went from that to where I am now by just taking the steps. And here's the crazy thing. Some people, they're blessed to be able to pay the money to have, to get the general admission tickets. Like someone was like, yo, I just gotta get in the room, so like general admission. But they're like, man, I wish I could do VIP. I wish I could do Diamond. I just don't have the money for, bro, I didn't have money for a general admission ticket. So I would just show up early and ask, could I help?
Wow.
Could I serve? Like, what can I do? Can I set up chairs? Can I do this? Can I do that? Like, what can I do just to be blessed to be able to be in the air? I'll stay all the way in the back of the room and just listen. And I'll be in the back with my notes and just taking notes and just paying attention and doing whatever it is that they needed me to do just to allow me to be in the room. And they took notice to me. It was like, this kid, and by them, I mean ETA, Eric Thomas's camp. They took notice to me. It was like, hey, this kid, like, he actually is here to serve. Like, he's not fanning out. He's not having one of those moments where he's not, like, he's slacking, not paying attention. Like, he's actually working and trying to make this event better for us. So they started giving me bigger roles. Like any of the conferences I can get to, they're like, no, you're good. You can come. Like, all you gotta do is get here. If you get here and you help serve and all that, you good. And from that, being able to see firsthand, see it live, see things that happen behind the scenes and how they put out fires and made sure that no one ever knew that there was a hiccup, and it always worked. I learned those things and learned how to adjust and navigate in the space. How E would switch up a presentation, or how Jeremy would switch up a presentation, like on the spot, on the fly. And it was like, okay, being a professional speaker takes work, and you're not gonna get this overnight. You got to be around this and be immersed in it. Like I told people, like people would say now, like I'm sick. Like in my mind, I'm sick, sadistic with it. Like I will watch a presentation and break it up, and like break it apart. Like, oh, he did this here, then there, and this is when all right, this was the transition, and this was the storytelling style that he uses. This is the hamburger method. This was the haymaker method. I would break it down. Right. Like I didn't miss a call. Like I made sure I was a part of everything that they would allow me to be a part of. And when I was, here's the thing that where some people they get mixed up. When I was then in position to be able to afford to pay for the services that they provided and the coaching that they provided, I paid for it. I didn't ask for discounts or nothing. I was like, Game Changers, I'm in there. Okay, what extreme execution, extreme teachers, whatever programs that they had that I felt would be beneficial for me, I paid the full amount, went into it, didn't ask for any favors, and was like, I'm gonna learn everything I need to learn and do what I need to do. And it started with, Kendall Ficklin, ETA, and then it, morphed into with the Next Level Speakers Academy with Jeremy Anderson, where they're all together now, where you have Jeremy Anderson, Inky Johnson, and of course, Eric Thomas. They're all together working within that. And I've been blessed to be, one of the coaches in that community, from connecting and serving early. There's we believe that we can trust Brad, and we allow him to coach, the speakers in the community. And we have over 2,000 in the community now.
Right, and that's an awesome community, awesome mastermind. Next Level Speakers Academy, if you're interested, we'll provide the information. That's how Brad and I linked up in an effort to be my best self. I also learned professional speaking is not just getting up there and freestyling and using your God-given talents. There's structure, there's purpose, there's practice, and there's reps, most importantly. So you've been doing this now for over a decade yourself. And to the audience, you see that it doesn't necessarily start out in a sexy, glamorous manner. You essentially went in the back door because you couldn't afford it. I always tell people, what's your social media feed look like? All right, maybe you can't afford the VIP or the diamond experience like I'm fortunate enough to, or you're fortunate enough to be able to afford when you go to these events or masterminds. But someone can get in the door for little to nothing if they get creative. And I think Brad's story is a testament to if you want it bad enough, there's always a way in the door. And now, with over 10 years of experience under your belt, you told us about working at Verizon. What did that transition look like for you, going from a 9-to-5 to, hey, I've got this gift. Someone presented this beautiful opportunity. I like this. I'm going to move into this space. Was it a part-time thing? Did you dump your job right away? How did that develop?
Oh, no, it was a part-time thing. Like, I don't know about, anybody else out there with their significant others, but they're, you got love languages and quality time and listen, my wife wants quality time from me, and she also wants security. That's not one of the love languages, but it should be one, right? So I knew that I could not just jump out the window. Now, if I was by myself, then maybe I would have. I wouldn't mind taking that risk, but I wasn't going to put my wife through that. And at the time, she was my girlfriend, but I wanted her to be my wife, so I had to treat her like she was my wife. So with that being said, I did have my job working for Verizon. I knew that if I was going to be, and I primarily speak in the educational space. Now, I've evolved where I've been able to speak at corporate and, sports teams and stuff like that. That's cool, but the thing that I care about the most is the educational space, those students, because it caused me the most pain. And because I was able to get out of that and, get past it, I want to reverse engineer my success for the students and the educators. So I knew, all right, Brad, how are you going to speak in the schools if you're at work? So I was like, I got to leave this job.
Right.
So I let go of the job that I had. It was paying me really well. Took a huge pay cut. It hurt, right? I had to explain that to my wife, and she was like, that's a big pay cut, Brad. Like, how are we going to, it was bad.
A lot of money just disappeared.
Exactly. Like overnight, it was like, boom. And I was like, I know, but I believe that I can do this. And she's like, well, I believe in you too. And if you think that this is going to be the right way to do it, then okay, I'm with you. Let's roll. And I left that job and went and found, some other jobs that would allow me to work the third shift, or the second shift.
Gotcha.
So I worked security jobs, and I actually wrote this book in 2 weeks and published it in less than 6 months because I was
Wow.
working overnight doing security work at the private Pfizer airport in Trenton, New Jersey.
Okay.
So-
So that left you the free time during your shifts to just put those thoughts down to paper.
My thing was, as soon as I got the job there, I was like, okay, let me learn these tours as fast as possible. And then I'll go through the tours, get them done. As soon as I'm done, I'll find an empty office and I'll just sit on the floor with my laptop and I'll just type and just, just get everything done. And then, man, that thing was ordained because it happened so quick and it was done so fast. My wife was like, "You're done?" I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "How?" I was like, I just worked on it.
There wasn't much needing to be secured in the middle of the night. You were
Right.
using that time to your advantage.
Exactly.
I love it.
So I would use that time to watch videos, podcasts, like work on my craft, whatever it is. I'm walking around the airport talking to myself, just
Wow.
doing my presentations to myself, talking out loud, and but no one's there. It's just me, right? And I was like, wow, okay, what you do in the dark comes out in the light.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. And working that job, but the last job that I had, because working third shift, it puts wear and tear on your body. And I was like, okay, let me get another job somehow, because me and my wife was like 2 shifts in the night. She wasn't even seeing me. Right. So I was like, okay, I'll take a job where I'm working the second shift. The very last job that I had was working at a group home. And in my wife's eyes, she was like, it was the worst job I ever had. She was like, because it was a house that they were dealing with behavior issues.
Right.
They're pretty much adult males for the most part, like 18,
Right.
for the most part. But they had mental issues, mental disorders. So they were like the worst that they had in the company that were in
Right.
the house. So they were breaking stuff, doing bodily harm and damage to the parents and family members and stuff like that, which is why they had to be placed there, eloping, trying to run away. Like I had to feed them, clothe them, dress them. I had to, cook their food. I had to, change their diapers, wipe them when they went to the bathroom. I'm sorry if it's too graphic for somebody that's listening, but
listen, that's truth.
Yeah, I'm just letting y'all know what I was dealing with, but I was still speaking in schools and doing all this at the same time.
Wow. So this was essentially started out as a side hustle.
Yeah, absolutely.
And once you got confident enough, the side hustle started to then dictate the other hustles around to pay the bills.
Well, it was out of necessity that I ended up going full time, because I went full time during COVID, that first year of COVID. And I was doing well. Like I was gotten to the point where I was making money as a speaker, and my wife was really proud of the work that I was doing, but I wasn't ready to let go of the job. I was like, it's that safety net. So I was
Right.
like, I just can't let go. Like, I want to make sure I'm taking care of the bills for my wife and making sure we're good. I don't want to put her in that situation. But anybody who knows me knows I'm grounded in faith. So my thing was, I was like, okay, God, like, what you want me to do? Like, I said I was going to do this, and I wouldn't just, up and leave. And God was like, okay, you've proved yourself enough. Like, just go. You can go do the work now.
What was that aha moment for you? Because so many people have that feeling of fear. They know they want to do something lights them up. They're making some money on the side, hustling, pastries, designs, whatever. But they just never get over the hump of letting go of that security and the safety net. What was your aha moment? What gave you the courage and the faith to let go?
So I always knew I had the ability, to do the work, but it was the confusion, like the being unsure. That's what threw me off. So because of the whole situation with COVID, what ended up happening was crazy. All 4 of the clients in the house, including the manager of the house, got COVID. I was the only one who did it. So, and then I was like, okay, so what are we doing? Are y'all quarantining or something? They was like, no, you still got to come in and work. I was like, how am I supposed to work and be hands-on with these? And they all have COVID, and
Right.
I don't. Like, isn't that the point? Like, aren't we supposed to be protecting each other from this? And they was like, well, we pay you, so you have to come in and work. And I was like, oh, yeah, no. Yeah, we're done. I was like, because I'm going to get COVID and bring it home to my wife and then potentially get her sick, and then we don't know how her body's going to react.
Right, and this is still early on. During
It's
the
still
pandemic.
early on. People dropping like flies.
Right.
So I'm like, oh no, I'm not doing this. I was like, I called my wife, told her what was up, and she was like, and she's not a supporter of me quitting jobs.
Right.
And she knows
Obviously.
I've quit many jobs
She's
in the
like,
past.
I've dealt with this
Let's
before.
not- yeah,
Here we go again.
Let's not, or whatever. And she was like, what? Quit now? I was like, whoa, okay. Call Jeremy. hey, Jeremy, listen, this was going on. He's like, what? He's like, well, son, bro, I've been told you to quit that job. Like you too good. You too talented for you to be there, bro. Get up out of there.
Right.
He's like, listen, call me when you get home, when you with your wife. I'm gonna pray for both of y'all. Quit the job. I promise you, you're gonna be fine. Just do what we've been teaching you. I was like, all right. I quit the job. He called me. We prayed. I talked to E. He prayed for me. And then I told my wife, I was like, all right, just give me some time. Give me a couple months to try this. And if it doesn't work out, I'll go get another job. And she was like, I'm not worried. She was like, I'll give you 6 months. Go out and do it. She's like, and if we have to have the conversation again, we'll have a conversation again in 6 months. I was like, all right, cool. I was like, nah, give me 3 months. She was like, 3? That's Brad. I was like, give me 3 months. And if I can't do it in 3 months, I'll find something else. She was like, all right, bro,
Nothing accelerates a timeline like desperation.
Right.
So what happens next? What's that first 3 months look like?
Oh, Lord.
Paint the picture.
Oh, look, listen, that first 3 months, listen, I would say the first 2 months was a headache because I was in my own head and I wasn't relying on the training. I was relying on myself, and I was frantic. I was panicking. I was like, oh my, the bills are coming. Like, I know they're going to start coming and stuff like that. I only got this much in the savings, and like, oh man, like, did I make the right decision? Should I call them back and like try to get my job back? And once I realized, okay, Brad, calm down. The reason why you're struggling the way that you are right now is because when you work a 9 to 5, all the SOPs are in place for you. All the operating systems are in place for you. Like vacation time, when you go on your break, like what you're gonna do throughout the day, that's all in place for you. The struggle is creating those SOPs for yourself, for your own business, so you can keep yourself on track. So I'm an extrovert, right? A big extrovert, ideas and stuff like that galore, right? The best friend of somebody who has a bunch of ideas and who has a big personality is structure,
Right.
whether they realize it or not, because it keeps you on point. So once I realized that, I started putting that to work, created a structure for myself. I would work from say 9 a.m. to 3 or 9 to 4 or whatever. And when my wife came home, shut it all down. When my son was home, shut it all down. I just gave them their time and paid attention to them, unless it was a one-off where it's like, okay, I got to do an interview or I got to travel or something like that. So that was it. I just created that structure, and then I created a formula for myself, right? It's not sexy. It's not probably what everybody wants to hear, because all they want to hear is, oh, run the play. You got to do this and do this, and this. Here's the tip and here's the trick. Like, bro, I'm not off all that. Right. You can miss me with all that. My formula for success is God first, honor my wife, honor my children, my business and my purpose come forth. That structure does not deviate. It always stays the same. And for me, it's worked out, and I just have not had any issues. I've always been taken care of. Even when there's moments where it's like, I'm not sure, like, well, like, this don't seem like it's working out. Like, man, like, this bill is coming, or man, this is like, whatever the case may be. And sure enough, like clockwork, it hits, something hits, a check comes in that I forgot that I was supposed to get or whatever. It's like, oh, that's taken care of rather quickly, and now we're back to the abundance.
Right. Now, I think part of that occurrence right there, that, you've got these ills, you got these bills, you got these things that are they're piling up because you decided to pull the Band-Aid off and go for something big, go for a dream. That fear of even removing that Band-Aid, as we discussed, is a big obstacle most people will never get over. You named 4 things, faith, and then there was your wife and children, family, and then business. Mm-hmm. And me, myself, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners or any of the people watching at home may struggle with this because they don't necessarily have those things lined up. They haven't learned that lesson yet.
Right.
How important is faith, not only to you and in your life, but how do you see faith playing a role in the lives of those that we're trying to impact,
right,
which are young people who haven't necessarily had that instilled in them? They necessarily haven't lived life yet to understand that, because sometimes that comes later. How do you think faith and embracing that can help someone at a young age who's having issues with whatever it is?
Faith is your foundation. That's your anchor that holds you in place. Like if you're in a ship and there's a storm coming, they drop the anchor to hold you in place until the storm passes, and then you can move again. So for me, I've always been that person where my faith has just been strong for whatever reason. and I've had experiences in my life where it's just like, you know, it's in the book and like just stuff that I've gone through. I'm like, this wasn't me. I didn't get myself through this. This was my faith that got me through it. So it's just the belief, like the shirt that I wear, that I have on right now is "Hope is your superpower." That's what hope is. It's a connection to faith.
Right.
It's a belief that things will get better, or there's going to be a better outcome for you. And I just believe, like wholeheartedly, like, nah, this ain't gonna be the end.
Right.
Like, and for me, like, I struggled in school, especially mathematics, right? But one class I had to take in college was statistics, and I hated statistics. But the one thing that I picked up on was possibility versus probability. Possibility meaning, is something possible? Can something happen? Can something occur? Of course, right? And then probability is the likelihood of something happening. Now, for me, I was like, all right, well, has there been other people that have been able to become motivational speakers and, you know, make money and take care of themselves and take care of their family? Yes, there's plenty of examples out there. So possibility is taken care of. Now, probability, what did they do to increase the likelihood of their success? Okay, there's a blueprint, Brad, or there's training and courses that you can invest in to get you to where you want to be. You have to do that. Like, you can't just, like, you know, the saying, faith without works is dead. I was willing to put in the work and have the faith.
Right.
I believe that things are going to get better, or I'm going to have the life that I dream of. And I'm also willing to work as if it's all on me. So, you know, there's another saying that says, you know, believe as if everything is in God's hands, but work as if everything is in yours.
Amen.
So I work like, bruh, if I don't do it, it won't get done, right? But I have the faith that you're going to take care of this.
Right.
Like, it don't matter what it is. I ain't worried about it. If somebody's sick, something that going on, money issue, whatever. Nah, you're going to take care of that. I know that. Why? Because I'm faithful to you.
Right.
I submitted to you, so you're going to take care of that.
And the probability that you're going to succeed, even though you can't guarantee that outcome, and faith allows you to let go of the control of that outcome, but put all your control instead into that work. You know, we talk about that all the time here, and on the things that we post online is essentially, you know, manifestation, yes, faith, yes, but there's the work component that can't be overlooked. You're increasing your probability of those things coming to light when you put in that work. You're in the space now. You've transitioned over from part-time to full-time. You've got your value system in place. God, family, then finances. Just my little take on those four, narrowing them down to three. I admire your dedication to your family. I've spoken to you personally off record. I see, you know, your involvement with your son, and congratulations. The wife is due like right around the corner. We got to squeeze you in here for this interview. So thank you to your ride or die.
Thank you, man.
For allowing this, because I'm sure she needs you and that attention as well, these latter stages. So how does your speaking career and your autonomy now, being your own business, your own boss, your own income stream, how does that impact how you show up for your family now?
So the funny thing is, and you know, there's a story about me throughout Next Level, because everybody knows me as far as I'm not the money guy. Like, don't come to me talking to me about money.
Right.
I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed by how much money you make. I really don't care. I really don't. And the reason why, it's not that I don't care. Like, you know, I'm a you know, I have an attitude or whatever.
Right.
That's not what it is. It's, I lived around it. I've been a part of it. Like, my father and my mother, like, they were very popular drug dealers, right? So the money, we had that in our family for an extended period of time, but it left us in a space where we did not, because of the, you know, decisions that were made, right? Come on, everything comes to a dead end when you mess with that type of stuff. So I'm not impressed.
There's no popular old well-off drug dealers.
Oh, bro, stop it. Stop it. Like Bumpy Johnson, them days are gone. Like, them days are gone. So it's like, yeah, bro, I don't care. Like, y'all don't follow the rules. Y'all don't have no ethics, no code. Like, I'm not off that. Forget all that. So I'm not impressed by the money when people want to try to flash that and stuff like that. It means nothing to me. But I am impressed by a man who can put his family first, above the money, above, you know, glitz and glamour and all that stuff. Like, the crazy thing about it is my father was a family man. He always wanted to be a family man. He always wanted to be there for the family. He still is to this day. Like, he's still in my life. My father's in my life. My mom's in my life. Like, family is a big thing, because that's all we had for you know, a portion of time. Like, for some people, if you read the book, you learn more about it. But my mom and dad, after the stint of, the being in the drug game, they became heroin addicts, and they dealt with that for a long time. And we were all we had. Me, my mom, my sister, like. And my dad, like that's all we had. We only had each other.
Right.
And, we had to rely on some family members who could help when they could and stuff like that. But that unit that we had, like still to this day, like we are like airtight. Like we like maybe have like disagreements, arguments and
normal.
stuff like that, but we know we coming right back to each other because we remember when things were at its worst and we were all that we had. So we never leave each other. Like, I don't have to agree with everything you say, but I still love you, Ma. I still love you, Dad. I still love you, sis. Like, well, I ain't going nowhere. I'm still going to ride or die. So, you see stuff like that. It's like, man, if a man can hold true to his family and not be swayed, not have that idle mind, that is that thing where you're like, yup, okay, he's going to go far. So with my wife, she was worried that with me traveling and speaking all the time that I wasn't going to be there. And one of the things that she told me, she said to me, hit me like a ton of bricks. She said, man, like, you do a lot of traveling. Like, is this what it's going to be like? I was like, what do you mean? She's like, Brad, she's like, we're married. Don't have me feeling like a single mother.
Wow.
I was like, ooh. I was like, yeah, because that was never my intention. Like, I was just excited about the opportunities that were there, and I'm doing the work, and like the money's coming in, and like I'm able to take care of stuff. Like I remember when I couldn't take care of stuff, and I couldn't make sure that everything was good, and it was like I want to keep it going. I don't want to lose.
You don't want to let that go.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to lose this momentum.
It's flowing now.
Right, it's going now. So like, nah. But when she said that, I was like, okay, I got you. Like, cause she was still pregnant. So I was like, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna work for the first 6 months of the year, make X amount of dollars. Next 6 months, I'm taking off. And she was like, what? I was like, yup, give me 6 months. I'm gonna go crazy. I was like, just give me the first 6 months to go crazy. And like, while you're still pregnant and everything before the baby get here. And then the next 6 months, I'm all yours. I'm here for you and the baby. We can figure everything out and make it work. And that's exactly what I did. And that's the story that Jeremy talks about when it comes to, me and my success in the community, like leaning on the community, like, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm going for. I'm gonna need y'all to hold me accountable. And so with the second child that we have now, Brian, who's on the way, I asked my wife, yo, do you want me to do the same thing, like 6 months and then stop? She was like, nah, you got it covered. Go. She was like, go crazy. Yeah. And I was like, she was like, Jeremy and all have told me that you can get a babysitter for, a day. And then you go travel, do what you got to do, hop on a plane, come back and make that money so you can take care of your family for months. Because one gig will pay my bills for months. So it's like, let's keep this going. Don't lose the momentum. That's one of the things my guy Shannon Austin said. He said he calls me baby boy. He said, baby boy, don't lose that momentum. He's like, you got a gift. He's like, you go. He's like, you go. He's like, you talk to your wife and y'all work it out. Y'all figure out how to make it work so she's comfortable. You get her a babysitter if that's what she needs. You bring your family member to help out. Pay him if you have to, whatever you got to do. But you give her the support that she needs, but you don't stop working because that is how you provide for this family. Like and you can do it in a way that the average person can't do it. You can bring in more money than the average person can do it. So go get it. Like, go get it and take care of your family and keep making that impact in this world. I don't care if you're going to California, all across the country, if you're going internationally again, whatever the case may be, keep doing the work and keep that momentum going so people see, like, no matter what, you can have it all. You know what I mean? With that firm foundation, with a solid foundation, you can have it all. You can have the family, you can have the finances, and you can still live in purpose.
Right. And a lot of people that haven't made it or gotten the chip off their shoulder may have a hard time understanding what Brad's trying to say, that money doesn't motivate them. I've been fortunate enough to make good money by anybody's standards, and money also doesn't motivate me, ironically enough, and I'm stepping into this completely new career path out of my own pocket because I want to make impact, and I just trust because I already got the wins in the rearview mirror, just like you, that the money's gonna come, right? You're perfectly capable of earning this money. What I heard there too is beautiful because you may not remember it. We had a long Zoom conversation one time, and it just dove into family and marriage.
Remember.
And one of the beautiful things you said, because I was chasing down this new career path, and it was taking me away from my family. My life was already set up where I'm dedicating a ton of time to the wife and the kids and seeing them grow up. And now this thing, the fear of this thing taking me away from them was a fear that probably you and your wife shared the first time around. It sounds like the second time around with most couples and people with kids. The second one's much easier, right? There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of anxiety with the first kid. You want to protect the edges of the sharp corners in the house. You got all the padding. You remove any danger. The second kid is kind of like, whatever, they're going to figure it out. And from what I hear, the third kid's on their own. They're raising themselves after they can change their Pampers. So, I mean, that is what life is. It's an incremental graduation of skills. You don't look at the challenges the same way because you are now more inclined to be able to handle stress. You're more prepared because you've lost, you've failed, you made mistakes, you know what works, you know what doesn't work. So you make all this money now in the first go-round with your child. So now in the second go-round, you already know, listen, these adjustments don't have to be as dramatic, and we can still keep the momentum going. And what was beautiful about that, to bring it full circle on the topic of money, money doesn't move you, money doesn't move me, but I think it's because we're in a place where we're comfortable enough to know that our bare necessities are taken care of, because that wasn't our feeling when we were trying to get to that place. So just let it be clear for the listeners. If you still got that chip on their shoulder, the fire in your belly, if you still haven't made it, you still haven't found financial stability of any kind, you know, this may not apply to you, and that's cool. But at some point, you will realize money does not buy you happiness, but it does buy you freedom. And what you choose to do with that freedom, that's what's going to determine how money continues to play a role in your life. So you mentioned something about, you know, you can get a babysitter, and that's what money will allow. And, you know, I've noticed being in suburban neighborhoods with really, really well-off people, you know, there's nannies, there's caretakers, there's night nurses. When babies are first born, the parents, the mother doesn't want to wake up in the middle of the night. There's somebody to come do that for you. Mm-hmm. That was like a holy shit moment to me. And you mentioned Jeremy Anderson, the great Jeremy Anderson, by the way, who has been successful and has had the spoils, mm-hmm. you know, for some time. So he understands the dynamic, because I think a lot of poor people,
financially
we
challenged.
We struggle with that shit, man. Money's the root of all evil. Or we going balls to the wall for the money, and we're forgetting all the other values in order to obtain the money. And then we get, you know, just caught in vice and sin and all kinds of craziness to make ourselves feel better. So how do you see this go-round playing out for you in terms of motivation? Now, you know, you're wiser, you're a two-time parent.
Yeah, I'm a two-time offender.
A two-time offender, going for a third based on our conversation. Oh shit, I threw you under the bus.
Hold up.
If the wife is listening.
No, she probably all for it. She's like, come on home.
Yeah, they're always the ones pushing for it. So, I mean, how do you see this climb continuing to go for Brad moving forward? What are some of the impacts you want to make? You know, tell me what the next couple years of your career looks like in this public speaking space.
Definitely just expanding, you know, the brand, doing more. I've told, you know, Jeremy and a lot of my coaches, you know, CJ, you know, shout out to CJ Quinney, man, that's my guy, man. Like, he doesn't even realize how much he's impacted my life, as well as, you know, ET and Jeremy and Inky. But it's one of those things where it's like, I wasn't focused on like putting money into advertising and branding and stuff like that. That wasn't really my thing, even though I have my brand, but I wanted to be really good. Right. I wanted to master my craft. Like I wanted to get my 10,000 hours in and master my craft. And that was the most important thing to me. I didn't want to be given the opportunity and people were like, this fool is trash.
Right.
Like, I don't know if you ever seen, what was it on, I don't know if it was The Simpsons or what it was, but it's some meme that they got out there where it's like somebody's like performing and they hear somebody in the background was like, this guy's terrible. I was like, I didn't want to be that guy. So I was like, let me get it together. Let me get my stuff together. And like, I'll take the smaller stuff, like not the stuff that's, you know, glamorous and big stages and conferences, but I know I'm killing it. Locally, like the people are like, that's that dude, man. He killing. You need a speaker. You get him. You get Brad, right? I wanted to make sure I got that down, and then once I did, then it was like, okay, cool. Now let's work on the money. Okay, now we got the money part down. We know how to structure things. We got the CRM. We got the email campaigns. We got the stuff working properly. All right, we got the videographers and all that. Cool, we got that down. Now it's okay. Now let's expand. Let's expand our footprint. Let's make the world know who Brad is. You know, because when the world starts to really like, because I get it all the time. Like I'll go speak somewhere and they be like, "Where have you been?" Right. Like, well, oh my goodness, like you've always been here in New Jersey? I'm like, yes, I've lived in New Jersey my entire life. I've been speaking for over 10 years. And a lot of the work has been in New Jersey. You just didn't know who I was because I wasn't trying to advertise like that. That wasn't my focus. I just wanted to be good at the work. Right. And once I got good at the work, then it was like, now we can start talking about advertising and branding and campaigns and all that. And expanding and just traveling, going international, speaking and stuff like that. And then also, coaching, doing coaching programs and stuff like that for people to, spread the love because, some people, it's just like, you got to start locally. You got to start. There's a lot. I get it all the time. I get it from even the people that book me. They're like, man, I really want to do what you do, man. I really want to work with you. Right. I get it. I get it. And like, so maybe it's time to put something together for you.
And you hit on a great point, which is people hear you and you inspire them. The whole premise for Next Level Speakers Academy, I thought was fantastic because there's so much trauma in communities of color, and it's not exclusive to people of color. But there's so much trauma in that community that the whole program is centered around how do we turn your pain into passion and then teach you how to monetize on that, which plays into the role of no one's coming to save you, right? We got a heated political environment in this country. People love to say it's more divided than it's ever been. I personally disagree. I think it's just as divided as it's always been. It's just we're in a news cycle. We're in a social cycle, so it's in our face all the time. When you sit down and talk to people, we got far more in common than we do apart.
Yeah.
And our goal in particular, yours and mine, and this program, Next Level, that connected us, it's about making impact. Can you remember a time or an occurrence or, a speech you were giving and someone came up to you, let's say, who you had spoken to a crowd, years ago. Maybe you didn't even know this person, but they mentioned to you how your talk or your speech actually helped them. Has something like that ever happened to you randomly?
Yeah, I've definitely gotten that a few different times in my career, and it's like I'm still shocked every time I hear it. Like even like when I go places and people want my autograph, like I just spoke at a school and the kids wanted me to sign their shoes and their shirts and stuff like that. I was like, I'm not okay, whatever. That if it makes you happy, you got it. I remember it's a few of them that I can actually think of. It's like one was I was speaking at I was speaking at, I think it was a high school. Well, no, I think I was speaking at a college, at a university. Yeah, that was it. I was speaking at a university, and a kid comes up to me afterwards and was like, "You spoke at my middle school a couple years ago."
Wow.
I was like, and I never forgot you. It was like, so for you to be here, I was like, wow, that's crazy. And I always say one of the biggest compliments I've ever gotten in my life when it comes to the speaking industry didn't actually come from someone who was like, in the audience, like a fan or something like that, somebody who I didn't really know. Was my father. My father is an avid workout warrior. So he like got the little gym in the basement in the house. So he go down there with the bench press and, he doing the pull-up bars and push-ups and everything. He getting it in. And he would always listen to like DMX and Jay-Z while he did his workouts and stuff like that. And then I remember having like a conversation with him over the phone. He was like, "Yeah, I'm about to get ready to go do my workout." He's like, "Cause I listen to your videos while I work out and it helps me get through my workout." I was like, that was it. Like I've gotten compliments from Jeremy and E and Inky and other people who just Brad, great presentation, Brad, that was it, boo, right on, spot on, perfect, this, that, and that. I even I showed you the work that I did before, and CJ was like perfect, spot on, all 5 points, boom. I'm like, thank you, boom, got it, right. But when my father said that, bruh, that's my father,
right?
Like he gave me life,
right.
And knowing the life that he lived and all that he's been through to still be standing and stuff like that. And like, for me to be an inspiration for my father, bruh, like there is no compliment higher than that for me. Like anybody else can say whatever they want. You don't actually know me. My father watched me,
Right.
like from an infant, a toddler, grow to the man that I am now, and he saw all the ups and downs, the rights and wrongs, and like being lost and confused, the heartbreaks, and all that. He watched me, go through it and groom me through it and help me as a man to get through it. So for him to see me where I am now, and now I have taken over that mantle as the person that inspires him, bruh.
Yeah, I think that is extremely powerful as a black man in America to still have a relationship with your father
Yeah.
and feel that sense of pride, because I think there's so many single parent households raised by moms and grandmoms, including myself. I didn't have that dad figure growing up, and it leaves men with a hole
Yeah.
that we're completely unaware of. We've been raised, and again, this is a generalization, but a lot of us has been raised by the women in our communities, our aunts, and there is an immense source of pride to getting a pat on the back from your old man. I've seen grown men, doctors, come to tears because their fathers never gave them a pat on the back. I'm a big fan of boxing. Oscar De La Hoya was in his prime. When he lost his first fight, I believe it was Tito Trinidad, that was the first time his father ever told him he was proud of him. His father withheld that from him to know that it would drive him. And I think we're just so unaware of that. I see your commitment to your family. Your first son, Busy B. Now you got your second one on the way. What was it going to be their name
Brian.
again? Brian. So me personally, so invested. The proudest thing that I've ever accomplished in this life is as a husband, as a father, as a family man. I trade every dollar. I trade every Instagram post. I trade it all for that. That is always my North Star. We're out here trying to impact the lives of young people. I think there's also a focus on young men that maybe, we don't necessarily go out and speak to, but it's there.
I say, who don't?
Well,
I do.
there you go. So, I mean, you're tailoring the message toward young people, but in particular then young men, because you know that there's a need for that. The podcast is Real Mentors. You spoke about some of your mentors. You're a mentor to your family, to your sons, to the people that you speak to. What should someone who has no male role models in their life seek out, or how can they recognize a male role model or mentor when they come into their circles? And tell us about the impact that could have on their lives the same way it had an impact on yours.
Well, if you don't develop your mindset, the world will develop it for you. So, and that's why you have so many situations where these young men, like, they have what's called an idle mind, where they're not solely focused on one thing, like something positive for them to move in that direction. Like this is what I'm going to do. Like, I made a firm and steadfast decision that I'm going to be a lawyer, a doctor, a mechanic, a plumber. Like, I'm going to do this. This is the work that I'm going to do. They haven't made that decision. They have an idle mind. They're swayed. They don't know what their purpose is yet. So that's why it's so easy for them to get caught up with another group or individuals that's not conducive to their success. Like, and if you don't have a male figure that's around that can kind of help the guy, because that's what the male figure is there for, to guide you. It's kind of like a goalpost. Like, okay, that's where I'm supposed to be going. That's what I should look for to. Like, for me, I do all that I do and try to work to be as successful as I possibly can, so that my son can say, okay, that is the direction I should go in. I don't necessarily have to be a speaker like him, but I can use the blueprint that he's designed to get me to being whatever it is that he chooses to be. I don't care if he wants to be a librarian. I don't care if he wants to be an architect. I don't care. I can't help you if you want to be an architect, because there's a lot of math in that, son. But I'm just saying, if that's what you want to do, at least we know we can get you to the school that will get you what you need. But if you don't have someone guiding you like that, especially a male figure, like my wife would say it all the time. She was like, bruh, I can tell your son the same thing 1,000,000 times and he will not listen. You come in one time and say, Busy, sit down. And everything stops. And he does exactly what you're telling him. I'm like, because it's... And I don't want it to seem like the female's role is not as important, because it is. It's that yin and yang. You gotta have both. Like, you can't do one without the other. You gotta have both in order for you to complete the child. You gotta complete the child by having both. So it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, if you are young and out there, right? So if you out there and you're like, yo, B-Rad, okay, I get that, but I don't have a father in my life. I don't have a male figure in my life. Okay, well, you need to get connected to the positive male role models that either are in your family or in your community and stay with them. Stick to their hip, right? I need your mentorship. I need your guidance. Or if you're old enough and you're a male and you're like, okay, I'm older now, so I'm working. I might have a family of my own. Pay to get close to the ones who are doing it right.
Right.
There's no shame in that. And you're like, oh, pay to play. Well, listen, you're doing it the wrong way for free. So
Yeah.
at least like that is the price that you you may have to pay for the success, for that mental shift that you need. It's something about when you get around certain males whose mindset is completely different from what you see in the community or just like in the average,
Right.
like in the streets. It's like me, Jeremy, E, CJ, my dog Logan, Demont, Cornelius, me, you, like we have certain conversations, right? I'm not going to have the same conversations that we have out in the streets with somebody who's just running the streets.
Right.
Bro, we don't even need to talk. Like we can be cordial, but our conversation is only going to go to a certain level. It's going to hit a glass ceiling because you have not elevated mentally.
Right.
You have not done a mindset shift to be like, you know what? This isn't like, okay, I got to get out the clubs. I got to stop doing this. I got to stop drinking. I got to stop smoking. And I'm not saying drinking and smoking is a bad thing, but you have got to understand that some things have to be done in moderation.
Right.
Right. You can't get to the point where like the pleasures become pain.
Right.
Like I'm in the club, but so much that I'm missing like my rent. I'm out here with the women so much trying to impress them that I'm missing out on opportunities, or I miss the love of my life because you're chasing so many different women. You can only have one.
Right.
Like you can only have one. So what is you doing?
Right.
So like I can go on a whole tangent, bro. But it's like it's one of those things where it's a mental shift that you have to have. And I'm not a saint. I've made mistakes. I've messed up. I've failed. I've faltered many times in my life. But every time I got back up, I was like, I gotta do better. I gotta do this differently. Like everything cannot be a means of me banging my head into a wall every single time.
Right.
Like there's gotta be a better way to handle this. So it was like, in order for me to get to that point, I gotta get around the individuals who are doing it right. So yes, I have paid, I'll say it in the camera, yes, I have paid tens of thousands of dollars to be around my mentors and other individuals to help groom me and mentor me as a man, because before I was a mature boy,
Right.
a mature male. I was not a man.
Right.
I was not a man. And I give a whole lot of that credit, that mindset shift to my guy, Chris Crumpler, Coach Chris Crumpler, who's in.
I love Crump, man.
Coach Chris Crumpler, shout out to my
Shout
guy.
out to Crump.
Yeah, man, because he's that one
Great dude.
who talked about the 5 pillars of a man, the 5 stages of a man. And he was like, and to get to that last level, that last stage of being a man, bruh, you gotta honor your wife.
Yeah.
You gotta honor your wife. And I was like, you gotta have her by your side, because she's gonna fill in the voids and she's gonna help you to, like my wife is the complete opposite of me. I'm a high extrovert. My wife is a high introvert.
Yep.
So as Jeremy would explain it, listen, I play offense, my wife plays defense.
Yep.
I go out, make the money, my wife's job is to protect it, right? And to make sure that we got it, we keep it. Like I'll go out, make the money, she'll be like, all right, well, give me such and such from that so we can put it in the savings. I'm like, all right, you got it. I've just learned not to argue and not to go back and forth with it. I'm like, you are right. You're absolutely right. I will mess around and take this money and spend it on another course or spend it on another thing. And it's like, we don't need that right now, Brad. You're good.
Right. And you learn to listen.
Yes.
And that's something as a man is crazy. There's this whole, again, now we're in a marriage conversation.
Yeah.
But, as men and growing up, let's say without means, or I think as men, period, but like it's the more women you conquer, or the more of a man you are. Or,
Man.
that's nonsense. It's something we've all done or struggled with at some point, probably in our younger years. And as we mature, we realize that was just satisfying an empty need for our ego. And ego is insecurity.
Yeah.
So you mentioned something about being opposites and trusting to listen to your wife. And it took me so long because as this type A personality, I want something, I go after it, I'm going to get it, I make it happen. Here it is. I told you I was going to do it. You think you got it all figured out.
Right.
But the feminine energy and the one that you chose to have in your life, till death do you part, and vice versa. How much value it is, or how much more valuable it is to listen to their fucking advice, because they have all the things that we don't.
Right.
And we don't embrace that as men. And I think this goes across any cultural, socioeconomic, color, racial. It's like a lot of us just don't respect the position of male energy and female energy and what each one respectively brings to the table.
Yeah.
So you mentioned educating yourself, and one of the big things that I started to do was to educate myself and spend money on educating myself around my relationship and my children. Because I'm quick to spend money on a course to further my career. And you talked about spending, a lot of money on bettering yourself, and I've done the same. And best money I've spent, no regrets. But what I'm noticing is when I spend money on my relationships, the other stuff just enhances itself naturally. So thank you. It has been an absolute pleasure. Let our guests know, where can they find you? How can they seek you out on social media? And all that good stuff.
Sure, no problem. So real simple. If you're looking for me on social media, it's Brad Butler II on all social media platforms. And trust me, if you can't find me, you just ain't trying. It's not hard. It's Brad Butler II on all social media platforms. If you're looking to book me, you want me to looking to bring me in to speak for your students, your staff members, professional development, or corporate, whatever the case may be, sports events, whatever it is that you need, you can always just reach out to us, and we'll be able to work that out for you. So the website is www.bradbutler2.com. That's bradbutler2.com.
Well, that's our time. We're wrapping it up for the Real Mentors podcast. As my esteemed guest has right on his shirt, hope is our superpower, and we hope that we shed some hope out in that audience today and out in the world. Thank you guys for tuning in. Stay tuned.